Christ as the rule of the Daughters of Charity means following Christ. I guess it means trying to live in the way that Christ lived, or as best as one can do that. I guess it means, having your life based on Christ and trying to always live out of that.
Jesus is my friend. He's my constant companion. He's my soulmate. He fills me with love so I can love myself and others. Each morning, we sit in conversation together. And then, at Mass, I'm intimately united with him and transformed into him through Eucharist and his Word. I know I'm never alone because Jesus is with me. One of the paraphrases of a favorite quote of mine from Vincent is, "If God, Jesus, is the center of your life, no words are needed. Your mere presence will touch hearts." Each day, he talks to me, and I talk with him throughout the day. He affirms and encourages, guides, and enlightens me as I thank and praise and appreciate all the gifts and blessings that he sends me. I ask for help and for myself and others. I meet him each day in all I encounter, and hopefully Jesus and me, my presence, and Jesus and other people unite to build a world of peace and unity. Jesus is more than my rule. Jesus is my all in all.
I see Christ as the rule of the Daughters of Charity in lots of different ways. I think the most important way would be in union with God the Father. Each day when I take time to pray, I think about how Christ went to the Father at every significant moment of his life and took time out of his busy schedule to be with God in an intimate way. And so first of all, I think that that's really important to us as Daughters of Charity, that we take time with the Father, with Christ in prayer. The second thing, I think, Christ found his goodness and the Spirit in each person that he encountered. And that's what we're asked to do, to find the good, the beauty, the Christ-likeness in each of those we meet. Whether those people that we meet be our sisters in our community, or whether they be the people that we meet in our daily ministry. I also think that Christ as the center or rule comes with the gospel each day, reflecting on that gospel and how we might live it in our lives. I think we have a very rich heritage from St. Vincent and St. Louise as to how that should be done. And so I think we're very, very blessed in that regard. Last, I think that whenever I think of Christ, he knew the Father's unconditional love for him. And I think that for us, we too need to know that unconditional love for us, and also to help all of those we meet, whether that is in a teaching situation, whether that might be in a soup kitchen, or just someone we meet, to let them know they are loved in God's eyes and that they are special.
The question, Christ is our rule, I think it's very simple from the Gospel of John, where Jesus says, "I am the way." And he came as God to show us how simple he wants us to be, and how he really did want us to be both effective and effective when we try to help somebody. But probably the biggest thing is our heart, our compassionate heart. So whenever we do something for somebody that's really in need, we would love them just as much as we were loving God himself.
When I think of the rule of Christ as the rule, what comes to me these days is that when I think about Jesus and his life and his forgiveness, I think about the apostles and how he was so close to them and how they let him down at the end. And that when he came back to them, the first thing he said to them was, "Peace be with you." And then he gave them this huge job. He's entrusting the future of his message to them. And to me that shows so much compassion and love. And it's made me reflect more and more on Jesus' life and how he treats people and how he reaches out and how he goes that extra mile. And to me that is what I think of now. When I'm trying to determine what to do, I try to think about how he was with people and how much that love was there, and that he loves me that much, and then that gives me the encouragement and inspiration to want to do the same as he did.
Why is Christ the center of my life? Why is that important to me as a daughter of charity? When I first entered the Daughters and I knew the charism, it really helped me to feel like I could do my service, following what Christ did in his service to people. It was a good reference point for me. As I got older, though, my reference point in following Christ is more in tune with doing the will of the Father. It's not just service, but it's also the acceptance of so many different things in my life as they come along. As Jesus did, he accepted those in his life. And so that's where I'm praying to him more, where I look to his example. And even in the most difficult things that I face, whether it's death of a loved one, or if it's a trial in my work, it's really getting my strength from Christ because he's my example of always doing the will of the Father.
To have Jesus as the role and model, and to see this illustrated in the rule, has been a great source of joy for me. Not only a great source of joy, but a great praxis of where my discernment for what is happening in my life occurs. The reason being that if one studies Jesus, one sees the life of Jesus listening to the cries of the poor, listening to the institutional Jewish traditions, but in a way going to the margins, going to the periphery. And his practice, I think, was the will of his Father. He was always in touch through his prayer with what would be the will of his Father for him. And having Jesus as that mediator from the Father to see in his life where the prophecy of Jesus took him, which was to the margins, in my opinion, has given me a sense of freedom about how I perceive my role in the community of supporting the poor.